What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I know it's been quite a few months since I gave you guys an update on project CB9, so I've been working on some miscellaneous projects these past few months, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring you guys up to speed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look what's been going on with project CB9. Okay, after fighting this power antenna for probably 2 or 3 hours, I finally got the new one in. Let me go ahead and show you guys what's going on with this. So here's the old power antenna and how these things work. They have a flexible plastic cable with teeth on it. Now what happened is there's about maybe 3 or 4 inches that snapped, and that basically got stuck on the inside, which is why this thing was clicking. And the power antenna, it always stayed up maybe 3, 4, 6 inches, whatever it was. It would never go back all the way in. So now I went ahead, reinstalled a new one, had to actually hook up the power while I was turning on and off the radio in order to get this motor to wind this thing up. And then this is the metal access cover with 2 Phillips head screws. So if you want to go and take this off, there's actually a plastic retainer under there, and you pull that plastic retainer, and that's basically where all the coiled plastic's at with all the teeth. So once I made sure that the power antenna was going up and down freely and there was no clicking and whatnot, I knew I was good to go. So anyways, this is how you get to this thing. So you have to pull this carpeted panel back here, and there's also this metal plate right here held in place with 4 10mm bolts. So there's 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. It's very hard to show you guys because I don't want to pull this whole fender cover off. This thing's a pain in the butt to get off. But as you can see, all the plastics I'm dealing with, because I'm doing some other projects here with taillights, doing some rust prevention and whatnot, you know, painting some POR15 on the latch. And I'm going to go ahead and replace the taillights. So I still need to find a pair of taillights for this car. But other than that, I think I've got the power antenna squared away. So I'm going to go ahead, finagle this thing back into the frame of the car. And on the outside right here, you got a piece of painted metal right here. That's actually where it goes into. So this is the piece right here. Surprisingly, this thing is actually made of cast metal. If this was a newer car, this thing would have definitely been plastic. So high quality Honda. So once you have the 10mm nut into place, you gotta really reach in there because this thing's at an angle. And then right here on the bottom of the power antenna itself, it's hard to see because I still got power, but this 10mm nut right here, it actually attaches to the frame right here of the car. So once this is tightened up and that's tightened up, the power antenna is secure in the car. And then go ahead, hook up the antenna itself, and then obviously the wiring harness with 3 wires. I got that connected right now, so I'm going to disconnect it so I can finagle this thing back in position. And there's also a drain tube on this thing. So here's the drain tube right here, and you got to connect this drain tube over into there. So once those 3 connections are into place, we should be good to go with the power antenna. And then we can go ahead and start reassembling the interior. I mean, this is a pain in the butt, guys, all these plastics and whatnot. So you just got to take your time because these things got clips on them and whatnot. But just be careful with all these plastic panels because this stuff is 30 years old. And if you don't do this stuff right, I mean, this plastic will just snap on you. And this stuff is hard to find. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the power antenna and put this interior panels back into place. And then go ahead, finish up the POR15 second coat on here. Also right here by the latch and right there below the passenger taillight. And then once this stuff is fully cured, we can go ahead and put the lower taillight panels back into place on the bottom right there. It's basically these pieces right here. Goes right below the taillights. So these things are metal, which is very nice. Okay, let's go ahead and start the reassembly process. Okay, let me go ahead and show you guys what I did for the POR15 surface rust preparation. Now right here in the bottom is basically your drip rail, I guess from all the rainwater and car wash water. Basically this thing's at an angle, so it directs the water going down this way. Anyways, there was some surface rust on here. I sanded it down as best I could, getting all the surface rust off, and then I taped it off, put some POR15 on here, 2 coats, and basically this is an epoxy based paint right here. So this thing is very strong and it basically stops rust in its tracks. So as long as your metal is structurally sound, it's okay to put POR15. But if you've got holes in the metal and whatnot, and structurally it's compromised, it's not going to work. So you're going to have to cut out and re-weld it. But luckily I caught it right on time. And same thing over here. I pulled off the door seal on the hatch, and sure enough, there's a bit of rust right here. So I grinded it down as best I could and put 2 coats of POR15 right here on the top, and then right here on the bottom as well. And same thing here on the passenger side taillight on the drip rail. Went ahead and sanded it down and 2 coats of POR15. Now I can go ahead and put the lower panels back on. And I still need to find some taillights, but I'm gonna start buttoning this thing up as best I can. Okay, let me go ahead and put that trunk seal back on and those 2 lower panels, and we'll go from there. Okay, and now the taillight drip rails have actually been cleaned of all the rust and then treated with POR15 epoxy paint on both sides, driver's side and passenger side. And then we're gonna go ahead, use some polyurethane sealant as some seam seal between the 2 metal seams. Do not use silicone sealant. It actually promotes rust with the moisture. And we're gonna carefully put some seam seal along these 2 edges right here where the 2 pieces of sheet metal meet one another. So I'm gonna run a bead right down here, continue on to this corner. And over here on the passenger side, you can kind of see that gap right there. There's a small little gap between this piece of metal and this piece of metal. You don't want to leave this thing exposed. So I'm gonna go ahead, run the seam seal right down here. Okay, let's go ahead, cut open this polyurethane sealant and get started. Alrighty, now they got the surface rust removed, the POR15 epoxy-based paint applied, and we got the seam sealant taken care of between the 2 metal seams. We can go ahead and put the taillights on and the bottom filler panels on each side, driver's side and passenger side. But before doing so, just check out the quality of these lower filler panels. I mean, these things are solid metal. If this was a newer car, guaranteed this thing will be a piece of junk plastic. I mean, that's just how well these cars were built back in the day. Solid metal, that's what I like to see. Okay, let's go ahead and take 3 10-1 bolts and attach it to each side. Okay, right here is a CB9 Wagon taillight gasket. It's made of like a neoprene rubber. So they don't make this anymore. It's been discontinued. So I picked up a sheet online. I think this was eBay. And this is about, I don't know, 1/8 inch, maybe 3/16 thick or whatever it is. But I took this piece right here and just traced it on here using a little Sharpie, and took a razor blade and scissors and made my own. So this is a brand new taillight gasket. So now we can go ahead and install the taillights on the Project CB9. So this is something you can do at home. It's not quite hard. So basically just take your old one, trace it out, cut it out, and voila, you got yourself a brand new taillight gasket that won't leak. With things, as you can see, I got basically all the interior panels stripped out of here when I was doing the taillight replacements. And on top of that, the power antenna replacement as well. Had to remove all these panels on the side here and over here on the bottom as well, and of course on the passenger side right behind the taillights. Now, looking on the trunk right here, I did see some rust flakes, like right down there. I don't know if you can see that right there, but I didn't know where that was coming from. So basically, for whatever reason, I stuck my finger in here and I felt, you know, some chunks of like rust coming out. And that concerns me right there. So we got some surface rust on the inside cavity right there. So before I go ahead and reassemble the trunk panels, I want to go ahead and treat that rust. So I went ahead and picked up this Eastwood internal frame coating, and what it does is basically stops rust. It's basically a special rust stopper, I guess, if you want to call it that, rust inhibitor. And so what comes with this aerosol can is this tube right here, and it's basically got a fan nozzle on the end. So you're supposed to like stick it into like frames of vehicles and classic cars and whatnot, and then you start spraying and you pull that tube out slowly, and it basically has a fan effect to it, and it basically just coats the inside of the frame. You know, I guess gives you a little illustration right there. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and shake up this can right here. I'm gonna take that tube, connect it to the nozzle, and I'm gonna feed the tube up in this cavity right here as high as I can go. And as I start spraying, I'm gonna pull it down. So basically all that internal frame coating will basically just coat the inside of this cavity right there. And I got these openings taped off because I don't wanna get sprayed with any overspray. I'm gonna go ahead and put some plastic down here as well, just to protect my trunk carpet. So let me go ahead, crack open this internal frame coating, get it shaken up, insert the tube, and let's get this thing applied. Okay, here's a wrap, project CB9. So I went ahead and put the internal frame coating application inside this cavity where the passenger side taillight's at. Basically, I just inserted that hose, sprayed 2 applications in there. So I think we're actually good to go for the rust prevention. And also, I had to go ahead and tear all these interior panels apart in order to get access to these taillights. So both the outer taillights of the passenger side and driver's side has been replaced with some used units. And also up here on the tailgate's been replaced as well with some taillights. So anyways, we got the taillights done, we got the gaskets done, and we got the rust prevention applied on the passenger side taillight panel right there on the inside of the body. So now we can go ahead and reassemble the plastics in order to get this trunk put back together, but this is a lot of work. Now, I did take the panel off the inside of this gate right here in order to get access to these taillights. I might actually leave this off because I'm planning to tint these windows, and when you have the plastic in place, it actually gets real close to the black area right here. So if you leave this plastic area off, it's a lot easier to tint this window right there. So I'm gonna probably leave the tailgate plastics off for the time being because, I mean, it's only like 2 pieces right there. So it'll make the window tinting process a lot easier if I left this plastic panel off. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on reassembling the plastic here. Alrighty, now that the new power antenna is installed, let me go ahead and give you guys a demonstration. Alrighty guys, that wraps up today's video with the Project CB9 updates, and I'd say we got quite a bit accomplished here. Now regarding the rust areas that was underneath the taillights, right on the drip rail, and then on the inside panel as well, went ahead and took care of that stuff. And then we got a new power antenna, we got new taillight gaskets, and we got a fresh set of used, nice condition taillights in place. So I'd say the rear hatch area is looking pretty good. Now regarding the K24A swap for this car, haven't quite forgot about that yet. I'm still working through some fine details, doing a lot of research, waiting for some parts. So I want to just make sure that everything is 100% before I go ahead and release the next iteration on that K24A swap series. And regarding the Half-Sport motor mounts, they were on the website a few weeks ago. I went ahead and checked them out. They were gone. I reached back out to them and they said that when they're ready, they'll be posted back on the website. So it is what it is. We're still waiting for those, but according to you guys' input, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 62A mounts according to everyone's input. So I appreciate you guys reaching out and providing your opinion on what I should get between the 70A and 62A. So 62A is the winner. Anyways, if you guys like these Project CB9 updates, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.